Hey guys, what's up? It's Autobot Mike 18 here with another TV episode review. Guys, it is Walking Dead Sunday. It's Sunday night, guys. That means it's Walking Dead night, and I just watched the newest episode to air for The Walking Dead. Really looking forward to tonight's episode, guys. And now I'm going to give you my review. I watched about a half hour ago. Here I am with my review. Tonight's episode, guys, is titled is Season 4, Episode 11. It's titled Claimed. And focuses on two main storylines throughout the whole entire episode. And as I said, I was really looking forward to tonight's episode, mainly because I wanted to see them go even further with showing us the three new characters that I've really been looking forward to seeing them. Abraham, Eugene, and Rosita. You know, ever since they broke news that the show was going to get new characters, I got excited for that, and that's why I was looking forward to tonight's episode, because this is their first, official episode where we actually get to see them. We get to learn more about their characters, their interactions with other characters on the show. So that's why I was looking forward to tonight's episode, and I mentioned that in last week's review. So anyway, guys, real quick, before I actually get into the actual review, there's going to be a link down below to a website called Letterboxd, and I would really love it if you guys would follow me on that website. It's basically for the average film lover. If you love movies, if you're a cinephile like I am, go on this website called Letterboxd. If you already have an account, that's great. You could, talk about movies, make lists of your favorite movies and all that stuff. Rate, review movies. It's a really awesome site. I set up an account yesterday. And would be awesome if you guys could follow me. If you have an account and if you want to follow me, I will gladly follow you back. So I just real quick wanted to advertise that. Link down below to my Letterboxd account. It would be awesome if you guys would follow me. So anyway, back with tonight's episode. Believe it or not, guys, there's only 5 episodes left until the end of Season 4. So that's really upsetting. This has gone by very fast. We only got 5 episodes left. So tonight's episode 11, in case you guys didn't know, heavy spoilers. I'm going to spoil the whole entire episode. So if you haven't seen the episode yet, you can come back and watch my review after you've seen the episode, because I'm going to spoil the whole entire thing. So basically, guys, in tonight's episode, you got 2 main storylines going on. You got the storyline of Rick, Carl, and Michonne back at that area where they took that house. And then you have the 3 new characters, Abraham, Eugene, and Rosita, with Glenn and Tara on the road somewhere. I'm going to discuss that, but I'm going to discuss that a little bit towards the end. Right now, I really want to discuss Rick, Carl, and Michonne's, because that was of the 2, that was the storyline that was a lot more simple. Because nothing really new happened with that storyline. I'm not saying that's bad, but a lot happened with the Glenn and the Abraham and Eugene. That storyline, I have a lot to discuss with that. So anyway, with Rick, Carl, and Michonne, and by the way, guys, in case you didn't know, I'm a big fan of tonight's episode. This is one of the best episodes of Season 4, without a doubt, so far. Really enjoyed it. The tension was great. Loved it. So, basically, in the beginning of the episode, you have Rick, Michonne, and Carl. They're at this house that Rick and Carl took in episode 9, and at this point they're unsure if they want to go on the road, if they're just going to stay there, because as we don't know, they're still separated from the group, so we don't know, are they going to want to try to look for the group, or are they just going to, it looks like they, especially towards the end of the episode, they're not really trying to find the group. They're really just trying to survive on their own. That's really what you can do on this point. I really don't think I would, if I lost my group, I don't think I would try to find them. I mean, you got to find shelter. You have to be safe. You have to be safe. That's the priority. So anyway, Michonne and Carl, right now, for the time being, they're going to stay at the house. So Michonne and Carl want to go out on a supply run. Rick wanted to go with them, but, Michonne talks him into just staying in the house, taking a rest. He's still got to, he still had that fight with the governor. That really, hurt, affected him. So he's really got to rest himself. And number one decision that Rick made in tonight's episode, bad decision that Rick made in tonight's episode, was Rick giving Carl the python. Don't ever do that again, Rick, because as you could tell, that did not end well for you for the most part in the beginning of that storyline. So anyway, Rick, Michonne, and Carl head off to go on a supply run. I guess they're looking somewhere around the neighborhood. And I really liked the interactions and that relationship that's going on between Michonne and Carl in tonight's episode. First off, Chandler Riggs, his acting was kind of iffy in this episode, kind of a little off in a scene or two. But other than that, he was fine. But I really liked the banter that they had with each other, the dialogue that they shared between each other in the episode was great. You know, there's some really lighthearted moments between the two of them in this episode. One involving Michonne and Crazy Cheese, which I thought was pretty funny, and I think that, you know, that adds a lot of lightheartedness to the show. You know, with all the tension that's going on, all the zombies and everything, and all the human conflict, with cool lighthearted moments like that between Carl and Michonne, I like that. So, you know, Carl's like trying to ask Michonne, you know, learn more about her past. Michonne eventually reveals to Carl that she had a son, as we knew in episode 9, and that his name was Andre Anthony. Yeah, I got it written down in my notes. Andre Anthony, and she lost him right when the apocalypse broke out. So, you know, Carl wants to learn more about her past. And then, of course, the scene where they're in the house, they're clearing out the supplies, and she goes into that room with the dead family. You know, I guess they killed themselves in that room, or they stood in that room, or whatever. They were all dead. You know, kind of it was a child's room, so that kind of triggered memories to Michonne. Obviously made her feel bad that her son is gone, and you know, she's got to look at all that. So that was, you felt bad for her. And I love how Carl and Michonne and Rick, they don't know that Judith's still alive. I cannot wait to see for all these characters to reunite again, which I think I know where they are going to reunite with each other. And to see Rick and Carl's reactions to finding Judith again, that she's still alive, that would be awesome. But anyway, back with Rick, probably the most exciting part of tonight's episode, one of the most exciting parts. Rick is alone in the house. He takes like a nap on the bed in one of the bedrooms upstairs in that house. And he wakes up to noises and like arguing downstairs. And at first I thought this was a dream. I was like, what the hell is this? Is Rick dreaming or something like that? But apparently about, I'm going to say 3 or 4 intruders found the house, and they're inside the house, have absolutely no clue Rick is upstairs. So as soon as Rick wakes up and hears them, he hides right under the bed, the only place he can go. And of course, Rick does not have his python. And I was like, no, why did you give it to Carl? I understand probably Carl didn't have a gun, and Rick, you know, just wanted to, you know, protect Carl, obviously, but Rick Grimes is screwed without his python, really, at this point, and he was. So he's hiding under the bed. The guys are walking around in the bedroom. This one guy lays on the bed. Rick is under the bed. His watch is going off. You know, the ticking of the watch. You know, he had to like shut it off. And I'm like, the tension was real in this scene. And I really liked this part of the episode. It was great, well directed, great shots, and just awesome tension. Felt real, in my opinion. That's why I like this part of the episode. So, in one of the first bits of tension in this part of the episode, 2 guys are in this bedroom. Rick is under the bed. One of them is on the bed. The other one wants to get on the bed and, you know, rest on the bed. So one of them strangles the other one, and he strangles him on the floor. And as the 2 of them are scuffling and one strangling the other, the guy who's being strangled looks under the bed and sees Rick, and he can't say anything because he's being strangled. So the guy that's strangling him has no clue Rick is under the bed this whole time. So that was great. That was tension like that was great. So at some point, Rick gets out from under the bed. That guy's dead. One guy's laying on top of the bed asleep, and Rick is running through the house, running back and forth between rooms, trying to find a weapon. These guys are walking upstairs, walking downstairs, walking into rooms, could find him. Rick is hiding around the place. Rick runs into this bathroom, kills another guy who's on the toilet very quietly. I had a problem with this scene, which I'll get to in the end. And steals this guy's gun, escapes out of the house through a window to outside. Gets outside on the lawn and is outside. He's ready to. He has the gun. He's ready to take out one of the intruders. And he sees Michonne and Carl walking towards him. He's like, "Oh crap! You know, they're gonna come to the house. They're gonna realize they're intruders here. They're gonna wonder where the hell's Rick. They could get killed or whatever." So a distraction happens. Rick gets away from the house and runs over to Carl and Michonne, turns them away, warns them just in time before they go into the house, and they hit the road. So it looks like that question that Michonne asked in the beginning of the episode was answered. They have to hit the road now because that house is taken. they didn't have a choice. The intruders just came in while Rick fell asleep. That did not end well. Rick ended up killing one guy, and one of the other intruders strangled the other. But anyway, Rick got a gun out of it. They did lose their house. They did lose some food, but Rick made it out alive. And the very end of this episode, obviously this episode was interchangeable with that storyline and the storyline with Glenn and Abraham. But at the very last scene of the episode, Rick, Carl, and Michonne have hit the road. They're on the railroad tracks, and they see a sign for Terminus, that sanctuary that they hinted to in last week's episode. And they decide, there's the sign that says, oh God, I forget the logo. Those who arrive survive. Yeah, that's it. They see that logo, they see the sign, and they're like, you know what, should we go? And they decide to go. So they walk down the train tracks. They're heading to Terminus. So as we all know, they're gonna possibly meet up with Tyrese, Carol, and Lizzie and Mika and Judith, because that's where they all headed in last week's episode. And eventually, I'm assuming Maggie and Bob and Sasha will rendezvous there. We'll find that place, find Terminus at some point. What else? Who else? And I'm going to get into Glenn and Tara and Abraham and the others right now, but I have a feeling that everyone is going to rendezvous at this one Terminus place, and this is going to be the new safe haven for this group now, and that's what I'm looking forward to. But anyway, as for the other storyline, which had a lot more going tonight, there was a lot of new information that we all learned tonight from the storyline revolving Glenn, Tara, Abraham, Eugene, and Rosita. In the very first opening scene, right before the opening credits, Abraham, he stops the truck. I got to talk about this for a second, and he kills those walkers like a boss. I take notes when I write, when I watch the episode, so I can refer to them later. Here's what I wrote. I don't know if you guys can see it, all the way up top. I wrote, Abraham is a boss. See that? Yeah. Because that opening scene, I'm like, wow, this guy's a boss. Here's the new Daryl, Like, we still have Daryl out there, but Daryl is, like, nowhere to be found right now. Oh, another thing, Daryl and Beth, I'm assuming they'll rendezvous at that Terminus place. But anyway, here's the new Daryl for the time being, Abraham Ford looks like an absolute badass. Takes zombies out like it's no big deal. I guess he was formerly part of the Marines or something, Army. He says he's a sergeant, so he's got some experience clearly. So I can't wait to see more of this guy. But from tonight's episode, I really did enjoy his character, and I like what his singular mission is. But anyway. Abraham, Eugene, and Rosita, they found Glenn and Tara last week, and Tara and Glenn, they get them on this large truck that they have, and they're driving down the road, they're going somewhere. Meanwhile, Glenn is passed out. As you all know, Glenn passed out last week, so he's not even conscious at this point. Tara's awake, though, and they're taking them in this truck. So at some point in the middle of the episode, closer towards the end, Glenn wakes up, and he's like concerned, like, where the hell am I? And Tara tells him. She's in the back of the truck with him. The three of them are sitting in the front driving, and she's like, I found this group. They found us after you passed out, after right when we left the prison or whatever. And Glenn, as we all know, what is Glenn's main mission? His main mission is to find Maggie. But this introduction of Abraham, Eugene, and Rosita has greatly hindered that goal for Glenn to find Maggie, because when Glenn passed out, they drove 3 hours away from the prison. So they are now 3 hours away from the prison. They're still on the road. Glenn at this point starts freaking out. He's like, what the hell? I gotta get off this truck. So, he forces Abraham to stop the truck. They stop in the middle of the road right near this cornfield. And Glenn gets all his stuff together. Abraham is like, come on, man, where you going? I need you. And this is where we finally start to get to meet Abraham, Eugene, and Rosita's characters, especially Abraham. This episode really focused on Abraham's character, essentially, and his mission, really, because Abraham really is the leader of the bunch, and I really can't wait to see where they go with his character. But anyway, so Abraham is trying to talk Glenn out of leaving, because he's like, you know what, this world, the way it is right now, you cannot go out on your own. Of course, he's right, but Glenn is determined to do whatever it takes to find Maggie. That is his wife. He is going to do whatever it takes to find her, and he's not going to listen to Abraham. He's not going to stand for any of that. So at this point, to keep Glenn from leaving, Abraham reveals to Glenn why they're traveling down the road, why they're 3 hours from the prison. He reveals to him where they're going. Apparently, Abraham is escorting Eugene to Washington, D.C. That's where they're headed right now. And Eugene is a doctor, Dr. Eugene Porter, and he has some very vital information regarding the zombie apocalypse that could just end up saving anyone who is left of mankind. So, right when he said that, I was like, wow. Okay, that's where they're going to go with the show now. So, apparently Eugene knows something that no one else does, because he is a doctor, I'm assuming he's a doctor, scientist, whatever. He knows something that could definitely change the tide of this zombie apocalypse, and apparently it's very crucial information, and that is Abraham's mission. He needs to get Eugene to DC as soon as possible. I'm assuming Eugene is going to meet up with several important people that can help him combat this apocalypse, and that's why Abraham is taking Eugene to DC. That's where they're driving this truck, and that's why they kind of need Glenn with them to combat any walkers that they come across with on the way. But that's Abraham's main goal, and of course that Rosita girl is tagging along with them. That is their group, and as soon as Abraham said that, I'm like, you know what? They can go in so many different directions with this storyline, and I really like how they're introducing this into the show. They introduced it tonight, and I really can't wait to see where they're going to go with this, because that is exciting, man. When I heard that, I was like, awesome. So anyway, even after hearing this and hearing the fact that Eugene knows something that can be done about this apocalypse, Glenn still wants to go look for Maggie. Abraham won't tolerate this. Abraham is that kind of persistent guy. He's following his mission. He's not going to have anything interrupt this mission, because he wants to obviously bring an end to this apocalypse. That's why he needs Glenn, and he needs to get Eugene to DC. So he doesn't want Glenn to go out there, and he's like, come on, man, it's over. She's probably dead for all we know. And at this point, Glenn just turns around, duffs Abraham, and the two of them get into a scuffle. And that was awesome. That scene between Glenn and Abraham, I can't wait to see what they're going to do with the two of them in future episodes. But that was awesome. So as Abraham and Glenn are rolling around on the floor, Abraham's like choking Glenn out. Eugene notices Walker starting to come out from the cornfield, and obviously Eugene's a doctor, so he's not that he's intelligent when it comes to like science and stuff like that, and what to do with this apocalypse. Obviously, that's what it seems, but he has no clue why. He's not that strong, in terms of being able to fight off these walkers. He doesn't really know what he's doing with that. He's not that intelligent when it comes to fighting off walkers in a zombie apocalypse. So he panics. No one is like paying attention to the fact walkers are coming towards them. As they're trying to break up the fight. Rosita and Tara are trying to break up the fight. Eugene pulls out an assault rifle and starts firing it off like crazy. I'm assuming he has no clue what he's doing with it. That was so funny. And he's just like shooting it all over the place, shoots it in the air or something. That was so funny. Apparently he hits the truck. But anyway, the gunshots alert Abraham and Glenn to stop fighting. So they pick off the walkers in a really cool scene, take them all out in the cornfield. And then what happened? Abraham takes a look at the truck and realizes that bullet holes are over it, and he sees like gas dripping down from the truck, realizing that Eugene shot the truck, messed up that gas tank, and now the truck is screwed. So the truck is stuck there. They can't move it. They can't work it because of Eugene's inability or his lack of knowledge of how to use an assault rifle during an apocalypse. So something tells me Eugene is going to be that character that is beneficial for intelligence in stopping this apocalypse, but he's going to be a terrible walker fighter, or that's what it seems like. So Abraham's really screwed at this point. The truck won't work. He wants to get to DC. Glenn and Tara take off. He's like, I'm still going to find Maggie. And Rosita steps in and decides, you know what, I'm going to go with them. We might as well go with them. We got nowhere to go, really. So, in the end, they decide to tag along with Glenn and Tara, and they are going to try to, Rosita, Abraham, and Eugene are going to try to find a new truck along the way. So, so they're going to backtrack, actually. They're 3 hours away from where the prison was, so they're going to go all the way back, I guess. They're going to try to find a truck. Meanwhile, Glenn and Tara, as Tara promised Glenn, she's going to help Glenn look for Maggie. So that's kind of where this episode really ends off, But the thing that I really loved about that storyline with Abraham and this information that he gives to us, I really like where they're going with that, with this apocalypse. I think that's cool, and I really want to see what they're going to do with that. I've heard stories about how that turned out in the comics and how that didn't turn out that well. I've heard a few things, so I can't wait to see what they're going to do with it on the actual show. And for some reason, when Eugene shot the truck and he was walking away with Abraham when they were leaving in the end of that scene, he looked like he had kind of like a grin or something. I say, I don't know, something about that Eugene guy. Don't completely trust him at this point. Abraham looks like a total badass, though. I'm sold on him, and I really don't trust Rosita as of this point. Really haven't heard too much of her, so again, it's just the beginning of these characters. But anyway, guys, that's basically it with tonight's episode. A lot of interesting things happened, and I really enjoyed it. So, guys, to give this episode a rating, I'm going to give it a 9.25 out of 10. Would have gone to a 9.5, but I had a few problems with Rick's storyline, which I'll get to in a second. But as I said, the tension was arguably the best part, and that involved mostly Rick's storyline, where Rick's running through the house, crawling in and out of under a bed, going through doors, going through rooms, trying to find weapons, doesn't have his python. I love stuff like that. They've never done something like that on the show before, so to have them do this in an empty, abandoned house with these, creepy intruders, they're all carrying assault rifles, that was pretty cool, so I liked that. The tension felt real and strong in those scenes. And of course, this new introduction of Eugene's importance and what he knows about this apocalypse and what Abraham is trying to do, trying to get into Washington, D.C., which is all the way out of Atlanta, all the way out of Georgia, I should say, because they're not, I don't know, are they still in Atlanta? Somewhere close to Atlanta. But anyway, so I really like where they're going with the story. The story writing was great for tonight's episode. Tension was real, as I said. Great performances. As I said, Chandler Riggs felt a little off tonight, but Michael Cudlitz was good as Abraham. He's showing me something, so I can't wait to see more of him. As I said, Josh McDermott, who plays Eugene, really didn't, hear too much from him or learn too much about his character tonight. We just know that he's got crucial information, so obviously they're going to go further with that, but I guess he was fine. And Christian Serranos, who is just amazing to look at, glad that she's on the show now. If you guys have ever seen Ned's Declassified, I thought that was pretty cool how Susie from Ned's Declassified is now on The Walking Dead. That's awesome, and she's all grown up now, that's all I can say. So anyway, performances and all that were good, except for Carl. And I like where they're going with the end of Rick, Michonne, and Carl's storyline. How they're arriving at this Terminus sanctuary place, because I'm really curious to see where they're going to go with that. So that's really all I have to say about tonight's episode. As for problems I had with tonight's episode, guys, I really had a few problems with the story. Just about maybe one. The fact that these intruders just randomly picked Rick's house out of all the houses in that rich neighborhood seemed way too convenient. I think that they added too many conveniences in tonight's episode. Namely, the fact that that these intruders just randomly picked Rick's house among every other house on that block. I was like, oh, of course, you got to have them go into Rick's house, create tension, even though I loved it. It was just, obviously, this a little unrealistic. Well, maybe a little unrealistic, but a little too convenient for the plot. And also, when Rick is running through the house and he's fighting with that guy in the bathroom and they're making a whole bunch of noise, how does no one hear that? Rick even slams a door in one part and none of the intruders hear that, so I'm like, plot conveniences, there you go. And, yeah, so apart from that, I love tonight's episode, guys. Great Really exciting, intense episode. One of the best of season 4 so far. As I said, I'm going high. 9.25 out of 10. I really liked it. So, yeah, guys, I wanted to know your thoughts on these new characters, this new storyline, this new revelation with Eugene and his information, and Abraham. What do you guys think of Abraham? So I'm going to ask you all these questions. Guys, what did you think of tonight's episode? Let me know down below. What do you think of Abraham? Do you think he's a boss? Do you think he's going to be a real badass on the show like Daryl? Do you think he's going to be the new Daryl? Or do you think him and Daryl are going to make like a good teaming? Like they're going to team up? That would be awesome. What do you think of the other two new characters from what we've seen in them tonight? What did you think of that tense storyline with Rick at the house? What did you think of all that? Let me know, guys, down below. And also leave me your predictions for next week's episode. Next week, not too much is going to happen. We're really just going to see Daryl and Beth. So nothing too exciting with that. However, I'm going to leave one prediction. I feel that everyone is going to rendezvous at this Terminus place. I feel in the end of that episode, Daryl and Beth are going to find the sign for Terminus, the sanctuary, and they're going to go there. And I feel the same for any of the other characters, and I feel they might be on next week's episode as well. So yeah, guys, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's episode. And real quick, guys, quick update. I am not going to be, and here's the sad thing, next week's episode is just going to focus on Daryl and Beth, and I'm kind of glad that it may just focus on the two of them, because next week I'm going to miss next week's episode when it airs Sunday night. So my review of next week's episode will be up later on my channel. I apologize for that, but next week is Oscar Sunday, and I'm a film buff. I cannot miss Oscar Sunday, so I'm going to watch that instead of The Walking Dead. So I will watch The Walking Dead sometime next week. I'm guessing Monday or something. I don't know, and I'll review it after I see it, guys. So I apologize for that, but there's nothing I can do, really. I have got to watch the Oscars next Sunday, so my review is going to be late. Even though things are starting to get intense on the show, I'm going to miss the next episode. But anyway, guys, thanks a lot for watching. Leave me your thoughts on the episode down below. Bye, guys.